speed is my motto, nothing's ever holding back.
Welcome back to the Lone Road iRacing podcast. I'm your host, Guy Robertson. And this week, we slow things down a little. No chaos, no complaints, not even finger pointing. Just reflection. Because Season 1 2026 is done, and whether your season went exactly how you wanted or completely off the rails, there's always something in the data. Not just the numbers, but the behaviours behind them. The habits, the decisions, the mindset. And that's what today's episode is really about. What do your results say about you as a driver? Because anybody can look at your wins, your iRating, your finishing positions. But very few people actually stop and ask, how did I actually drive this season? Were you calm under pressure, for example? Over-aggressive early in races? Or consistent or wildly up and down? Today, I'll break down my own season honestly, and I'd encourage you to do the same alongside me. And later on, we're going global, because this podcast has travelled far further than I ever expected. And we'll finish with this week's iRacing Agony Uncle. How do you actually learn a new track, and how do you know when you're ready for the first race? So let's get into it. Season 1 2026 has now been finished and completed. My personal results: 300 race starts, average start 8th, average finish 7th, 10 wins in total, 149 top 5s, 2,684 laps driven, and I led for a measly 83 laps. Now here's the thing. Numbers are clean, they're quite neat, they look objective. But they don't show the frustration after a mistake, the pressure of defending a position, and they definitely don't show the mental fatigue after a long session. And that's where this gets interesting. So what does 300 races really mean? 300 races isn't just effort, it's exposure. I've experienced good weeks, I've experienced many bad weeks. I tilted, I gained and lost confidence through the season. And the mental challenge becomes the question, can you stay consistent through all of that? Because most iRacers don't struggle with pace, they struggle with emotional control over time. And then there's the hidden story in +1 position. So yeah, my stats told me that I started on average 8th and I finished 7th. Again, that tells me something quite powerful. I didn't panic. I didn't force overtakes. I let racers come to me. And that's not just racecraft, that's race discipline. Okay, I gained 10 more wins, so I'm 1 win off my 150th career win. I also finished in the top 5 149 times. So that's a kind of mindset story. Because to win more, you often have to risk more. So subconsciously, this season says, score the result, and don't gamble it away. And that's a very common plateau stage for drivers. So what does this really mean? It's not just about lessons, it's about observations as well. Lesson 1. Emotional control beats raw speed. You can be the fastest driver on the track, and we all see ourselves in P1. But if you overreact to contact, chase revenge, and push too hard after a mistake, you lose everything. My stats suggest that I stayed calm more often than not, and that's why consistency is showing up. Lesson 2 is fear of losing versus the desire to win. And this is quite subtle but huge. When you have lots of top 5s and fewer wins, it often means you're protecting results more than chasing victory. And that's not wrong, but next level. You flip that balance slightly, you choose moments to attack. Lesson 3, mental fatigue is real. 300 races I drove in season 1. That's decision fatigue. That's concentration dips, small mistakes, and slower reactions. And this affects every iRacer. So next season, I'm going to consider fewer races, but hopefully to get higher quality focus. Lesson 4 is a topic that we covered a few weeks ago on the podcast, the plateau stage. This season at times has felt like I was hitting the plateau. And plateaus, as we discussed, are dangerous because they feel comfortable. But they're also where improvement slows. And as we discuss, the key is intentional change. Not more racing, but better racing. Okay, we're going to hear from our sponsor early in the show today, and we'll be right back. We're having a quick pause here to mention our sponsor, Outlap, who are supporting the podcast. Outlap is built around the side of sim racing we don't talk about enough. The focus, the preparation, and mental work that happens long before the race actually starts. It's not about hype or loud designs, it's about process, patience, and showing up ready, whether that's in the rig or stepping away from it. If that side of sim racing resonates with you, you'll find Outlap quietly ticking along in the background. I want to thank Outlap again for sponsoring the podcast, and the link to their sim racing apparel store is in the show notes. Now we've talked about my iRacing stats and how you could be looking at your own results for season 1 and how to really interpret them. But as always, we take a look at how the podcast that you download and listen to or watch week in week is performing. And this time, if you want to take a look at where these downloads are, there's an piece of animated map or an animated map of the world showing where these downloads are. And we mustn't forget, behind every download is actually a person. Now, you can see from the animation with over 54% downloads, 8,954 in total. The biggest download continent is North America. Now, what surprised me though is the city with the most downloads in that area. And it's a place called Forest City, which is a small town, but clearly it's got a big signal. And if you don't know, it's in North Carolina, with a population of around 7,000 people. And as I've said, with over 500 downloads. Now pause on that for a second. That's not casual listening. That's engagement density. That kind of number suggests that the podcast is being passed around by word of mouth. And there's a shared interest. And maybe even a group of racers listening together. And mentally, that's blown my mind. And it's very powerful. Because when you know others around you are doing the same thing, you actually improve faster. Now, the animation is going to go on and it's going to take us to our second continent with the most podcast downloads. And that's Europe with 29% and a total of 4,940 downloads. But again, I want to reach out to a specific city. Now, this one is even more amazing. The listeners in Clonee, Meath, in Ireland. It's even a smaller town than Forest City, but clearly has a huge presence. And this is where sim racing thrives quietly, because in smaller communities, our passion clearly spreads faster. One driver tells another, setups get shared, tips get passed around. And suddenly you've got a pocket of highly engaged iRacers. And again, all I can do is thank you in Clonee Meath for continuing to enjoy the podcast. And the animation kicks on to our third continent, which is Oceania, which has had over 10% of the total downloads, with 1,790 in total. And as you can see, the biggest download city in Oceania is Melbourne in Australia. If you don't know Melbourne, it's a city built on motorsport culture. And here's what's interesting psychologically. In cities like this, standards are even higher. Drivers analyse more, they practice more, and they care more. So if you're listening from Melbourne, you're likely not just racing casually. You're chasing improvement. And I'm hoping the podcast has supported you on that improvement. And the animation goes to Asia next with 524 downloads, or 3% of the overall downloads to date. And then again the animation carries on with South America next with only 1% of downloads, or 194. And finally finishing in Africa with only 111 downloads. So I've got to find a way of spreading our podcast onto those continents. And that's my challenge for next season. So what links all these wonderful places that I've mentioned while talking about the podcast downloads? It's not location, it's mindset. Everybody listening is trying to improve, trying to understand and trying to get better. And that's what makes this feel like actually more than just a podcast. Now, I personally would like a listener from Forest City, United States, Clonee Meath in Ireland, and a listener from Melbourne, Australia, to come and onto the show as guests, all in a group, and let's talk about why your areas in all the locations where you are and around the world are enjoying the podcast so much. And you can tell the other listeners and me why you like it so much, but furthermore, how we can improve even further. So please think about it, consider it. Send me a message on the show's email, which is always in the show notes. Right, we're going to be back in a minute, and it's time for iRacing Agony Uncle. We'll be right back. Welcome back again, and we have had another wonderful question from one of our podcast community listeners. The question posed is, how do you learn a new track, and when do you know you're ready to race your car on that new track? An absolutely brilliant question. Most people get this wrong immediately. They jump in and try to be fast. That creates stress. Instead, drive slowly and actually build your understanding. Personally, that's what I do when there's a new car or a new track. I try and combine them onto a new track as a combo. And the first lap I am driving like Miss Daisy, and that's for a reason. I have no clue what's coming up the road. I have no clue where the off tracks are. I have no clue where the pit exit is going to put me, or even the pit entrance if you're lucky to get round lap 1 without crashing into some kind of barrier. So take it easy. And you've got to build confidence, not speed. And where does that confidence come from? Knowing braking points, knowing the limits for the track, like I've just said, where are the off tracks, and also knowing what the car will do on that specific track. And speed, well, speed comes later. Really, what you're looking for at this stage is repetition, because repetition creates automation. When you stop thinking, you start reacting, and that's when you know you're improving. You think about learning a new track all on your own. It's taking most of your concentration to really remember what's coming next. Is it a left-hander, a right-hander, a hairpin, whatever it may be. But you need to get to that point where you are doing it by muscle memory, because as soon as the grid fills up and you're on that starting grid, you need to have the muscle memory concentrating on the track rather than trying to remember it, because you're going to have another 20 crazy drivers around you to deal with, and that's where your brain needs to be. So how do you know when you're ready? I suppose it's a little bit around being predictable or predictability. You know what you're going to do before you actually do it. You're not guessing what's coming up next. You're not reacting late as you think a right-hander is coming up and it's actually a hairpin. So you've got to be predictable. And a mental tip here, remove outcome thinking that I've already kind of said. Don't think I need a good result, think I need a clean race. And the results will follow your behaviour. So I'm hoping, listener, that has helped you understand how to learn a track, but also when to have that transition from learning and training off race into jumping into your first race with an improved confidence. So to bring today's episode to a close, Season 1 has come with all its excitement and now left, and we have started Season 2 2026. It wasn't a flashy season personally. It clearly wasn't even a dominant one for me, but I still thought it was a strong one, with 50% of my races finishing in the top 5. That gave me an epic foundation for Season 2. And sometimes that's exactly what you need. Because improvement in iRacing is really explosive. It's quiet, it's built over hundreds of laps, small decisions, and even better habits. And this podcast is doing kind of the same thing, growing quietly across the world. And that's something I genuinely appreciate. It's coming from listeners from Forest City, Melbourne, Clonee, and everywhere else. Don't forget, viewers and listeners, drop me a message and tell me where you're actually from. And maybe, like I said, I'm looking for a listener from Forest City, Melbourne, Australia, and Clonee in Ireland to come and join me for a feature-length podcast. Until next time, as Outlap says, focus, prepare, perform, and I'll see you on the grid in Season 2 2026. And don't forget to say hello. Until then, happy iRacing. See you soon.
Whatever it takes, we're racing, we're in the zone. Whatever it takes, we push hard, never alone. I'm in the cockpit, the engines roar, hear me now. We're racing circles, got a hustle made a vow. Chasing victory, it's all or nothing on the track. Sweet is my motto, nothing's ever holding back. Whatever it takes.